Hello dear students, welcome to the fourth and last part of the video series on equality. In this concluding video we are going to discuss about how can we promote equality. So first is formal or legal equality. So this is equality which is written in law. So government policies and programs, they must ensure equality. The first question is, does the current legal system provide more privileges to a certain section of society today? So again, you'll have to think about it. In this current legal system, are there some people who enjoy more privileges? So at first thought, it might look like no, everybody is equal before the law. No? Even if it is a normal person or a VIP, they all have to go to the court if there is some issue. But then we think of cases like the Salman Khan case, where like most people believe that he was guilty in that drink and drive case and the animal poaching case. But still, like he was never proven guilty in the court. So again, like it might seem that he has more privilege than a common person. Correct? Also, we might see that people who have good legal connections, they can get better lawyers. Rich people can hire better lawyers, while poor people cannot even afford a decent lawyer. So again, the legal system is not that equal also, correct? So now, reserved categories and government dignitaries. So of course, like these people also enjoy certain privileges. So like government servants and politicians, they enjoy a lot of privileges, right, which common people don't. Correct. And reserve categories also, so they have certain seats reserved for them in educational and in government jobs. So again, they enjoy certain kind of privileges. Now, what were the privileges provided in the past to certain section of society? So if you think about it, you will remember that in the past only the Brahmins were allowed to uh, take part in religious, no, officiate in religious ceremonies, while the Kshatriyas were allowed to fight and be kings. The Vaishyas were allowed to take part in trade and commerce, and the Shudras were just to serve the above three categories. So it was not a very equal society. The upper caste, the three upper varnas enjoyed special privileges. Correct. The Shudras were not allowed to enter into temples nor read the Vedas. Only a Brahmin could become a priest, and a priest, temple priest, was a position of power and profit. So again, like they had special privileges. Men had privileges over women. So while a man could go out and get education, women were not allowed to go out. Men were allowed to go out and work, but women were not allowed to do so. A man could marry if his wife died, but a woman had to perform a sati if their husband died. They could not remarry. So, of course, certain sections of the society enjoyed certain privileges in the past. Now, poor people and women had no right to vote. At least in India, we never did that because in India we had universal adult franchise. But in other countries, initially poor people and women had no right to vote. But of course, like I was saying, caste in India is and was a great source of inequality. Lower caste people suffered a lot of discrimination and injustice at the hands of upper caste people. Now, all such restrictions or privileges should be brought to an end. So again, all these privileges based on gender, sex, and caste should end, and only then we can achieve formal or legal equality. The Constitution prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. So one cannot say that okay, I will only hire people from a particular religion or from a particular race. We cannot do that. One cannot discriminate against people from different communities, that they should not use public resources like wells, hand pumps, or public parks. Public hospitals and public schools are open for everybody. It's not just the upper caste kids who can use them. If you might remember, like if you might have heard that in the past, certain wells and hand pumps were reserved for the upper caste people, and if the lower caste people went and took water from there, then they were punished severely. In many cases, also killed. Now, equality through differential treatment. So, what are the cases under which differential treatment can be given for achieving equality? So, like if disabled people will need ramps to access buildings, they will also need lifts in buildings because they cannot climb the stairs. When this in this context, my scope of disability is only limited to physical disability and particularly of the leg. Correct. People who have limited eyesight, they will need lifts and ATMs which have speaker facility, so they can listen to the feedback from the lift or the ATM service. Women will need extra safety, not because women are inferior in society, but because the current patriarchal society commits a lot of crimes against women. Women are raped by men. Of course, most of the cases are men. Women are raped by men, and like this is something that is very rampant in the country. So, because of this patriarchal society, we need to protect women. For that, we need to provide adequate security in the city areas, of course, also rural areas. So, we need to install CCTV cameras, we need police patrolling, and all these things. If you remember the issue of Hyderabad gang rape case, again, it was a very isolated location, and that is why this crime was committed. So we need security in those areas also. We need to make sure that our roads are well lit and there is enough space for people to walk. If you look at our current city designs, there is not enough space for people to walk. Even if that place is there, it is encroached or it is sometimes not well lit. So we need to do all that. What kinds of differences hinder access to equal opportunities? So, differences, discrimination and differences based on gender, caste, sexuality, and religion, they hinder access to equal opportunities. What happens is in families, women are not given proper education and not allowed to work. That is why it leads to inequality in the family. The woman becomes dependent on the man for all her needs, and even if the man abuses her, she cannot leave him because she is dependent on him. The same can be in the case of caste. So, upper caste people are already on the important position of the society, and so they can use that power to make sure that lower caste people are not able to come to the same position of power. Sexuality can also be an issue of discrimination. Till some time back, Article 377 was in the Indian Constitution. It prohibited homosexuality. So even if two people from the same gender, they were ready to be with each other, they loved each other, they could not be with each other because the society was not ready to accept that. So while people from different genders, they were free to love each other and marry them each other, people from same gender were not allowed to do so. So again, this was creating differences and inequality. Religion can also be a source of inequality. So again, if you remember in one of the slides, I had showed you how Muslims are very underrepresented in Indian public services. Again, because there is an inherent discrimination against Muslims, and uh, so it becomes very difficult for them to get into positions of power. What kind of policies may be pursued to overcome these hindrances? So some examples are there. So free metro travel for women, because women do not go out into the public spaces. If we make travel free from them, then more women will be willing to come out. Also, some women earn very less, like 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per month. and if they invest like 3,000 to 4,000 per month on traveling, then their family might say that there is no point of you working anymore, you can stay at home. But if they save that money on travel, then their family might allow them to work. Correct? So these kind of incentives need to be given. Free bicycles for women is important so that women can be encouraged to go to schools. Protection laws for homosexual people also need to be instituted because there is a deep homophobia inside our patriarchal society, and we have seen cases where homosexual people have been harassed. So that is why we need to work for those people. Now, last thing that I want to talk about is affirmative action. So in India, affirmative action is known as reservation policy. So this affirmative action, the goal is to eliminate inequalities that are deeply rooted. Like I was saying, caste in India is deeply rooted. Still, we do not allow our children to marry outside their caste. So intercaste marriages are still very rare. You might have heard about cases of honor killing where parents kill their own children if they marry outside their caste. So again, you might hear that certain lower caste people are not given flats and apartments in certain societies. You might hear daily. You might hear one case of atrocity against a lower caste person, like they might be killed for entering a temple, or they might be killed for just keeping mustache, or they might be killed for just riding on a horse. So again, these caste inequalities are deeply entrenched in the Indian society, and that is why we need affirmative action to do that. Now, designed to correct cumulative effect of past inequalities, like I was saying, the lower caste people in India have been treated unequally for a long period of time in the past. So that is why the representation on important positions in the government is very low, and we need to reserve seats for them so they can claim those spaces. Now, you can say that if they have merit, they might be able to go there, but what happens is that the upper caste people who are already present in those spaces will not allow a Dalit person to be there even if they have merit. So they will use some or the other policy to stop them. That's why we need to do this. Also, merit itself is not very unbiased. Upper caste people have always enjoyed cultural and educational knowledge, so they have generations of cultural and educational knowledge which they can share with their children, while a child of a lower caste person might be a first or second generational learner, so they do not have such kind of educational capital to bank on. So again, that is again another reason why we need reservations. Now, what are the forms of affirmative action that can take place? So there are two forms. First is preferential spending on facilities for disadvantaged communities. So it means providing them scholarship and free books and free school uniforms. So like everything should be provided for free for them because they are poor and disadvantaged. So the problem with this approach is that even if they get all the education and scholarship for free, if they go for the interview, there will be a inherent bias in the mind of the interviewer and the recruiter, and they might make a wrong decision based on this bias. And also, these people are not discriminated against because they are poor; they are discriminated against because they are from a lower caste. So even if a lower caste person is able to earn a lot of money, they will still not be treated with respect in the society. So that's why we prefer the second plan, that is special consideration for admission to education jobs. Now, what is the policy of affirmative action in India? So, of course, this is the second policy is our policy of affirmative action in India. So, policy of quotas or reserved seats in education and jobs. Special assistance is expected to be a temporary or time-bound measure. Is it how it's being treated in India? So, of course, in India we do not have a time-bound reservation policy. Reservations are indefinite, and we do not know when in the future they will end. So some people might say they should end now because enough Dalits have gotten jobs through reservations. But the issue is that if you look at their proportion of representation in government jobs and compare it to their population percentage, then you will see that it is very, very less. Still, we need to put more Dalits into positions of power. Last is there are certain critiques of reservation in India. Their opinion is that reservations are a form of reverse discrimination. So this is something that I would like you to think about and form your opinion on. With this, I will end this chapter, and then I will see you in the next chapter. Thank you.